Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about the top 3 mistakes that we see advanced Amazon sellers still making today. Today with me, I have Callie. How are you doing, Callie?
Doing great. How are you today, Brock?
Can't complain. All right. So what do you think the number 1 mistake we see more advanced and professional Amazon sellers still making today?
A lot of times I'm seeing sellers that are letting their campaigns run out of budget very early in the day.
Now, what's the reason this is still such a big mistake?
Because you could be missing out on sales during those times that your ads aren't running. So it's definitely important to try to have your campaigns running for the most amount of time during the day that you can.
Now, other than just putting really high campaign budgets on, let's say I have a very limited budget to work with. I can only spend $100 a day. And how do I know if my $100 a day is actually delivering through the entire day?
You can check in Amazon's Seller Central. They have a history feature that will tell you about what time your campaign has run out of budget. So that could be very helpful in knowing if you're running out at 10 a.m. or if your campaigns are making it all the way to maybe 11 p.m. at night before they're hit up against that budget.
Awesome. And so once I know that my campaigns are only running for, say, let's say I found out my $100 budget only is running for 6 hours, and I am out of budget by 6 a.m. And I found that out from the history tab. What would you suggest we do for those sellers?
I would suggest trying to use a dayparting tool to help only allow your campaigns to run during certain times of the day.
Awesome. And so a dayparting tool just pauses and enables based on the schedule you select.
Correct. You can set any time zone that you want.
All right. So let's move on to the second biggest mistake we see advanced Amazon sellers making. And this one is an interesting one. So this one, I believe, is actually giving Amazon too much control. So this is something that I feel it's hard to always define how much control is enough, because Amazon has a lot of data they don't share with other sellers. And that can be useful, but it also, if you give too much control, it can end up resulting in things you didn't want. So what do you think the 2 biggest things that advanced sellers, are still doing that is giving Amazon too much control?
One of the biggest ones that comes to my mind, Brock, is the dynamic bids up and down setting in Amazon. That is actually allowing Amazon to increase your bid up to 100% in the event that they think it's likely to convert to a sale.
Now, this is notorious at Sellozo, at least, but this is such a big mistake. It is one of the most detrimental things you can do to your campaigns. We see this all the time, and a lot of times it's even with agencies. Agencies will bring in clients and not even realize that the client has that setting on, and their bid almost 90% of the time has the 100% multiplier being applied. So that means that Amazon is thinking that 9 out of 10 clicks are going to convert, even though their conversion rate is typically closer to 10%. So it's the exact opposite. So this is a great example of Amazon really just making you bid a little higher than you should be, maybe 100% higher than you should be.
They're getting all their advertising money for sure.
Now, what is another maybe not so common, but still more advanced sellers are making that is a mistake giving Amazon too much control?
I ran into this too when I was launching some sponsored brand campaigns for a client. It offers an option during the campaign launch to allow Amazon to swap out products. It's called, I think, the optimization setting. So we would just prefer you to pick the products you really do want to feature instead of allowing Amazon to decide which products they think should be shown in your headline sponsored brand ad.
Yeah. And the concept really made sense. I really hoped that dynamic product selection in sponsored brand ads was going to be a win. You know, the idea is if you sell red, blue, and pink socks, that you could swap out which sock is showing up in the sponsored brand ad based on that customer's search term. You know, the idea was if you had 10 different colors, it would swap it out on the fly. unfortunately, it just isn't really working. We don't see it successful at all. So definitely agree with you. Taking control over which products are showing in your campaigns makes sense. I definitely don't suggest ever selecting that box when launching a sponsor brand, headline search ad, or any kind of sponsor brand ad.
Right.
All right, number 3. What do you think the third biggest mistake is that advanced Amazon sellers are still making today?
We like to call that knee-jerk reactions. It also is kind of, that hustle culture, or a little bit, you just need to have some patience sometimes. You see something that's happening that was maybe from yesterday, and that data is just not all the way in yet. You have to remember that there's those attribution windows with your ads. So Amazon reports the PPC spend right away, but they don't always report that PPC sale. Maybe it's still in somebody's cart, or it just takes some time to report that sale. They have up to 7 days for your sponsored product ads. I believe it's 14 days for both sponsored display and sponsored brand ads. So you really need to give your campaigns time before you make any harsh evaluations or trying to scale back on things.
Couldn't agree more. It is so hard not to want to take action, especially when this is your business or it's your client's business. You see something the last 3 days look like the ACoS has spiked up, and so you want to make a change. And so many times Amazon's just delayed in reporting the data, or sponsor brand videos. Every time I almost have to look at that 1 week trailing, because you can't even evaluate the most recent 7 days because the data changes so much in that second week. And so for those that don't understand what attribution window is, what that means is you got a click. It could have been literally 10 days ago, and they're just reporting the sale today, or the customer is just buying the product today. And so sponsor brand video ads are notorious for having a lag in when the spend happens, so that's when the click happens, and when the sale happens. So yeah, making knee-jerk reactions, it is hard not to do, but it is a big mistake. All right, Callie, thank you so much.
You're welcome.